Hey, what's up, guys? If you've watched my channel for some time, you know that I like to be personable in my responses, and I like to reach out and connect with people who comment on my videos. And today is I'm doing a video response to somebody who initially did comment on one of my videos, and I ended up subscribing to him, and I've watched about 3 of his videos now. And I think his name's Raymond. I think he's a deep thinker, a very rational, logical-minded guy. And just as myself, I consider myself being one. And I really like the videos that he's making and the points he makes and things. And it looks like he invested in some real estate, and he's showing that he's explaining his life and his past and where he's at now. And to get right to it, I want to address one thing that is a theme that he in his videos is that, like, he's displaying some frustration in his life. Okay, and this is a personal video to you, Raymond. So you're free to comment in this video, or do a video response, or not, whatever, or just listen, and that's fine as well. But the reason why I'm responding is because I sense in his voice, in his tone, similar frustrations that I once had. When it came down to women, and when it came down to being what he considered himself like an incel. I would say that at one time I was what you would consider an incel, although I never really liked that term. But I was very secluded and highly introverted, and socially wasn't the strongest, to put simply, in my 20s, even though I had friends and whatnot. But struggling with women was a major issue for me. Okay, and he expressed that in his videos. Now, in this particular one, it's called "Everybody's a Critic," and he was explaining how people, they just resort to personal attack. You know what I mean? When you ask a question, instead of addressing the question, they just go to insult. And my response is that's an ad hominem. They criticize you instead of refuting your points and telling you why you're wrong, because they're unable to, and they're intellectually lazy and lack intelligent capacity to properly construct a counter argument and rebuttal. Now, don't get discouraged by these people. That's what's going on here. Is their own frustrations in life they're just projecting upon you. Okay, this is a form of psychological projection. It's like if somebody comes home from hard days of work and the dog's there barking, they might kick the dog, right? The dog didn't do anything wrong. It's their own frustrations, their own stresses that it's displaced. Displacement is the actual key psychological Freudian term for this, onto the dog. And that's what people do who have existential crisis in their lives, or have a lot of frustration. They displace that frustration onto other people, especially people who are making sense. It's like, I don't know if you watched that movie They Live, where it's like you put on the glasses, and then there'd be those like demon alien guys, right? And then they're like, oh, recognize them, and all of a sudden they come in on you. In a metaphorical sense, it's the same kind of thing, where you'll get hordes of these leftists, Marxists, whatever, just name calling you and slandering you for just asking a question. And it's so bizarre, actually, what's going on in the world. But to get to the point of frustration, which Raymond is admittedly displaying, is that what is frustration? It's when your actual self is not meeting your ideal self. Okay? So say your actual self is broke, but your ideal self is to have money. That would cause frustration, because there's a gap between that. Okay? The same with your actual self is single. Your ideal self, you want a woman you want. Well, there's a gap. Okay. Now, that frustration can be seen as being a negative thing, but it actually has a purpose because it is a signal to yourself. It's your subconscious giving you a signal in a form of pain, a form of stress, anxiety, other things. And that signal is that there needs to be something done. Now, I can't tell you what needs to be done, right? And I know looking at him right now, he seems like he has a good heart and he's a good mind. But what I can tell is that his mindset is negatively has some negative beliefs, I believe. And I don't know him too well, but these thought patterns that might not be working for him. Okay, talking to you personally, Raymond, you might have some things about your thought patterns and your perception about yourself and perception about what things that might not be working for you. And then you might need to shift and change. Okay, I can't tell you exactly what those are, but that's what I see, and I see that's what potentially the root of frustration is. And I know some of these factors you might say are outside of you, outside of your control. The locus of control is outside of you, but I know for a fact a lot of these is within you. Okay, the locus of control should be within you, which is changing the perception, changing the thought patterns, changing the negative self-talk that you're negative self-talking about yourself and your situation, which you're saying in your videos. Okay, I hear it, I recognize it, I know it, man, and I feel for you. Okay. So my first answer, and I know he probably knows this, and I know that he's done this himself because he said he was an alcoholic before, and now he's not, is self-improvement, improving various areas of your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, exercise, grooming, developing new skills, hobbies, self-improvements, confidence, blah, blah, blah. All the stereotypical things, and I'm sure he's a logical guy. He knows all these things, right? I think a lot of them he already has, right? But there's, in a growth mindset, again, changing the mindset, growth mindset, there's always room for improvement. And it's not always like the end goal, but it's the process of doing it, not an end goal mindset where you just like try to achieve something and then you're good. It's like a growth mindset is never ending. It's always happening. And being in that process is there's going to be fruits out of the process that bloom. Fruits being a woman, fruits being new social situations, and so forth. The other thing I would recommend to Raymond is further developing social skills. He was saying that he'd be in like a supermarket and a girl would see him or something and walk in the opposite direction. Dude, like even today that happens to me, right? And so don't get too caught up negatively in that mindset. Okay, like this is don't be punished by it, right? Have a sense of humor about it. I know it's hard when you're in a down place, but like when if you're getting a rejection or whatever, don't feel punished because that's only going to reinforce negative mindset. Okay, so developing social skills. Just start engaging in conversations with people, guys, girls, old ladies, young people, whatever. Just like point out something about the situation or whatever, but and then but don't be attached by it. Just point it out and then okay, have a good day. But just start off with low, like small ones, and then eventually you can move up to ones where are that conversations that are more engaging. And part of that is like, so my dog just wants to play fetch, so I'm gonna while I make the video, play fetch with him. Joining clubs, classes. I don't know where he lives. It might be somewhere rural where there's not much of a community, but getting involved in communities and finding people that are aligned with your interests. And so maybe the online community is exactly that. He's reaching out in the online community. You might find, I know personally, I found a lot of great friends online, and that's okay too. But obviously, ideally, you want people who are in your immediate environment. But when doing so, and it's like a muscle that you're being trained, right? Social muscle, emotion, emotional muscle is, which is emotional intelligence. Being more emotionally intelligent. Being less socially awkward. Maybe it's a skill. It's like a skill, just like lifting weights or boxing or something like it takes practice, right? But you just keep at it, and it'll become easier and easier, and it will lead to more meaningful relationships if you just keep at it. And don't be discouraged and nihilistic about things if things aren't working totally. Like if you're not getting the rewards right away, just keep a positive mindset and focus, and keep chipping away, and eventually you will be rewarded, and it'll be like that much more satisfying when it does happen. Okay, and set realistic expectations about what types of things are going to happen. And I know a realistic expectation is that you meet somebody who's the love of your life. Okay, and I know I'm looking at this guy, Raymond, and I know that he has that capacity to meet somebody that I know he can. He probably negative self-talked himself into mindset that he might not. I don't know him personally, and he didn't share this, so I'm just making assumptions here. But don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just build connections. Just focus on building the connections. Focus small goals, and then once you achieve a bunch of small goals, you can achieve bigger goals. And then you have a strategy. Strategy being how to meet women and what women want, what their needs are, and focus on building those connections and doing it properly, going on dates, asking them out, being a good guy, smiling properly, nice eye, like nice facial expressions, looking nice, and it's all process. Like that's not like a means to an end type of way of like meeting girls, especially. It's a whole process, and you focus on the process, and it will just happen naturally. And being natural and genuine is key. And it's a skill that happens. I know it's a lot awkward for a lot of guys, myself included. Like I said, I was an incel essentially before. Even though I didn't consider myself, I didn't like to call myself that. Like that's more of a new term, but it's true. I was like a fucking hermit for a long. I just considered myself like a monk. I just like studied philosophy, played chess, and video games and shit, and like was totally self-secluded. I kind of cracked my shell in my 20s. I ended up moving to Spain, and that really helped me out because Spain was like super social place, and my job at the time was doing photography and things really put me into a shark tank of having to force myself to be social, look good, and everything. So I really changed really quickly at the right time. And but the whole thing about my point is here is that I know this guy. He can be happy. I know he can. There's no reason why he can't be. But it's got to be a shift in mindset, a shift in how you talk to yourself. Like, don't talk to yourself negatively. Don't be nihilistic or pessimistic all the time. Be optimistic. Have a growth mindset. Focus on the process of doing things. Take small goals. Achieve small goals. Like when you go to if you go to a fast food joint and there's like a girl behind the counter or whatever, just make like a small little comment, and if she doesn't really respond, that's fine. Then you just take your food and go. At least you did something instead of just ordering her food and doing else. But like, oh, it's pretty dead here tonight. I don't know. Make a observational comment about something, and she'll be like, oh yeah, it's pretty slow or something. And then it's like, okay, and then you can at least do something, right? Start up little things. You never know where it leads, because it's those types of initiation, those first steps that lead to bigger steps too. Okay. So that's my comment on him. Maybe he can tell me that I'm wrong. Obviously, I'm jumping to assumptions, but I don't think I am, because he was in his video legitimately sharing that his dissatisfaction on his personal life, specifically with women in social life and things like that. So, Raymond, hey, just reaching out brotherly way. with some feedback. It's the beauty thing about YouTube. You know, you can make video responses. So here's mine. Welcome to the YouTube world. Thank you for commenting on my video. That was about relationships, and I hope to hear a comment back from you. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.